you are listening or watching Radio Afinju. The time is 7 a.m.
Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ àfínjú. Lórí WhatsApp. Àfínjú. Instagram. Àfínjú. Facebook. Àfínjú. Lórí X. Àfínjú. Lórí YouTube. Àfínjú. Lórí TikTok. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ 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 àfínjú. Rédíò àfínjú. Rédíò àfínjú. Rédíò àfínjú.
Stay informed with news on Radio Afinju.
The time is just 2 minutes past 7, and you're welcome to newspaper headlines on Radio Afinju, where we bring you the news making the waves in our national dailies. We'll bring you to your hearing, talking about Punch newspaper, Vanguard, Daily Post, Daily Trust, Tribune, and the Leadership newspaper. We'll bring you the stories making the front pages and also the headlines and the stories to your hearings. My name is Tolulope Awoyale, and if you're still here to follow us on our social media platforms, kindly go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, all at Radio Afinju, and also on our website www.afinjufm.com. Also on Zeno Radio, we are there at Radio Afinju. We are just a station with an impeccable dimension to broadcasting. So with me this morning, I have the Punch newspaper, the Nation newspaper, This Day newspaper, and also Sunday Tribune. Now I'll be giving you the headlines making the front pages of this newspaper. To Punch newspaper, the banner headline here reads, 2027 APC and ADC coalition scramble for Kano's mega vote. The rider under it says, party stalwarts acknowledge ex-Kano government influence, confirm consultations, and NNPP factions differ on alliance move. Another headline here says, no date yet for NEC to decide Obi's fate, Labour Party says. That is on the page 6 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Another headline here says, reps move to strip president of power to appoint INEC chairman. That is on the page 6 also of the Punch newspaper. Another headline here says, road rage, how unruly drivers assault traffic officials to avoid penalties, and that is on the page 26 and 27 of the Sunday Punch newspaper. Also another headline here, flood waters force Makoko children out of school amid disease fears. That's on the page 16 and page 17 of the Punch newspaper. PDP would never die, says Southwest chairman. That is on the page 6 also of the Punch newspaper. And now to the top right corner of the Punch newspaper. Federal government under fire as NNPC confirms refineries not working, and that is on the page 25 of the Punch newspaper. And also Lagos local government poll, opposition cries foul over APC victory boast. That is on the page 8 of the Punch newspaper. And that is all from the Punch newspaper this morning. Now moving on to the Nation newspaper. The banner headline here reads, "Defection, I'm still consulting, or show PDP ready to follow me," Adeleke says. And the rider under it says, Governor meets party chiefs and cabinet, federal and state legislators, others, and Eno formally takes over APC structure in Akwa Ibom. And that is on the page 5 of the Nation newspaper this morning. And to the right corner of the Nation newspaper, while Niger Delta is critical to national growth by Tinubu, the rider under it says direct commission to complete all abandoned projects. That's on the page 6 of the Nation newspaper. Another headline here on the Nation says Lagos local government polls, APC eyes clean sweep amid low turnout. The rider under it says Sanwo-Olu hail voters for peaceful conduct. That's on the page 4 of the Nation newspaper. Opposition coalition good development for democracy, Gbajabiamila says, and the rider under it says it will prevent emergence of one party state. That is on the page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Another headlines here says Constitution review, House panel promises inclusive process. The rider under it says states should control resources in their domain, Sani says. And the last headlines on the Nation this morning, Nigeria and Brazil sign landmark health sector pact at BRICS summit. That is on the page 2 of the Nation newspaper this morning. So moving on to this day newspaper, the banner headline rather says Gbajabiamila welcomes coalition to prevent one party state and doubts its effectiveness. The rider under it says ADC explain Atiku, Obi and others dual membership of PDP and Labour Party. That is on the page 5 of this day newspaper. And the top of the this day newspaper, GT Coal, Zenith, Access, UBA, Echo Bank lead Nigeria's stock market rally in 1 week. Another headline here says, amidst heavy security, low turnout mass local government election, and Sanwo-Olu hails peaceful exercise. That is on the page 6 of this day newspaper. And the last headline on this day is federal government secures 44 fresh convictions on terrorism financing. The rider under it says hunger, poverty, key drivers of insecurity, CDS Musa insists. Another rider says 650 terrorists killed by NAF in Northeast and Northwest in 2 years. That is also on the page 5 of this day newspaper. The last one that we're picking this morning is the Sunday Tribune, and the banner headline here reads Constitution Review, North pushes for power devolution and resource control and equity. The rider under it says want elective position reserved for women. That is on the page 4 of the Sunday Tribune. Another headline at the left corner of the Sunday Tribune this morning says Tinubu gives reasons Niger Delta is critical to Nigeria. That is on the page 7. And then at the right corner of the Sunday Tribune, Ambassador Awolowo Dosumu felicitates Lasisi Olagunju over now honorary fellowship. That is also on the page 4 of the Tribune newspaper this morning. And another headline here says military arrest terrorists, gun runners in Kaduna. And the rider under it says as police foil bandit attack, kill one in Bedouin. That's on the page 8 of the Sunday Tribune. Another one says Lagos local government elections record low turnout. The rider here says Sanwo-Olu and Amzat and others commend Lasieg over smooth exercise. That's on the page 5. And then the last one I'll be picking on the Sunday Tribune this morning, Anglican Church gives cleric guidelines for hosting politicians during services. That is on the page 6 of the Sunday Tribune. And that is all that I'll be bringing to your hearings this morning. So before we go into the full story of these headlines, we'll go on a short break now. And then when we come back, we'll dive into the story fully. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. And you're welcome back. This is still newspaper headlines on Radio Afinju. Now I'm picking my first story from the Punch newspaper this morning. 2027 APC and ADC coalition scramble for Kano's mega vote. And the story reads, ahead of the 2027 general elections, the ruling All Progressives Congress and the opposition coalition under the aegis of the African Democratic Congress seeking to unseat President Bola Tinubu are scrambling for the 5.7 million vote in the northern state of Kano. Our correspondent findings have revealed that central to Kano in the state former governor Rabiu Kwankwaso, who controls a large following known as the Kwaskia movement. Multiple party stakeholders who spoke with our correspondent believe Kano vote with Kwankwaso standing will be critical to the outcome of the 2027 poll. Kwankwaso contested to the 2023 presidential election on the platform of the New Nigerian People's Party and came forth with 1,496,687 votes majorly gathered in Kano State, his political base. He got his largest number of votes, 997,279 in Kano State, edging out even the APC, who was in power in the state at the time, led by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and ex-governor Nasir El-Rufai. Peter Obi of the Labour Party, who came third with 6.1 million votes in the 2023 presidential election. Ex-Governor Rauf Aregbesola, ex-Senate President David Mark, ex-Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi. The ADC coalition appears to be fast gaining momentum, attracting other political heavyweights across the country. As political realignments continue ahead of the next election cycle, Kwankwaso remains a coveted figure who could move to tilt the scales in a fiercely competitive northern region. The story is well detailed on the Punch newspaper this morning. Says 2027 APC and ADC coalition scramble for Kano's mega vote. And now to the next story we're picking this morning. The Punch newspaper also says federal government on the fire as NNPC confirms refineries not working. Opposition leaders has criticized President Bola Tinubu's administration following remark by the leadership of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, which cast serious doubt on the viability of the country's refineries despite the billions invested in their rehabilitation. On Thursday, the president of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, stated that the Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna refineries might never resume operations, even after about $18 billion has been spent on their turnaround. On Friday, The group chief executive officer of the NNPCL, Bayo Ojulari, echoed similar concerns, revealing that the company was now considering selling off the refineries as years of rehabilitation had failed to yield meaningful results due to the facility's outdated status. Ojulari made the disclosure in an interview with Bloomberg in Vienna, Austria, noting that the country had invested heavily without any tangible outcome. Reacting in separate interviews with our correspondent on Saturday, some opposition leaders tackled the Tinubu administration, demanding a thorough criminal investigation into the alleged corruption linked to the failed turnaround maintenance of the refineries. They argue that the government cannot simply move on without identifying the prosecution of those responsible for the massive losses. The leaders also accused both the current administration and its predecessor under Muhammadu Buhari of misleading Nigerians about the operational status of this refinery. The story is well detailed on the Punch newspaper this morning. It says, federal government on the fire as NNPCL confirms refinery not working. We could recall that about a month ago, it was out that these refineries are being rehabilitated and they would actually also just boost the fuel industry and then would have enough fuel in flow. But now they are not working and they are meant to be sold off. Well, I'll be going to the next story on the Punch newspaper this morning. It says PDP will never die, says Southwest chairman. The story reads, the chairman of the People's Democratic Party in the Southwest, Kamaldeen Ajishafe, has declared that the party will never die despite the challenges as it is currently facing. Ajishafe, in an interview with our correspondent, said the PDP would overcome its crisis and emerge stronger, adding that no one who thinks the party will go into extinction should discard such thought. He spoke 2 days after the party in the zone had caught itself up from the coalition of opposition politicians who had adopted the African Democratic Congress as their platform for the 2027 general elections. In a communique issued by the Zonal Publicity Secretary of the party, Sonia Atofarati, the Southwest Caucus stated, the caucus affirmed that it is not part of the reported coalition and urges all members of the PDP to remain united, steadfast, and continue to stand behind our leaders in the zone as we navigate all issues at the zonal and national levels. The caucus, however, supports the position of the National Working Committee that our party remains open to working with other well-meaning, like-minded citizens in the collective effort to rescue our nation from the stranglehold of the All Progressives Congress. Asked whether the party would sanction members promoting the coalition, Ajishafe said the PDP would take the appropriate action at the right time. We have internal mechanism for dealing with such matters. At the appropriate time, they will be activated. When the time comes, we will address all actions and inactions accordingly, he said. The news is well detailed on the Punch this morning. It says PDP would never die, says Southwest chairman. It is even not a new news that most of the strongholds and the chieftains and even the strong towers of PDP have been defecting massively to other political parties, from the new coalition party, which is the ADC, and also APC, which is the ruling party, and they've all been directing it to connecting their defection to leadership crisis and instability in the party and all of that. But we know largely that PDP has really been facing a lot of crisis recently. Well, now I'll be moving on to the next newspaper this morning. That is the Nation newspaper, and I'm picking my first story here that says defection, I'm still consulting, Osun PDP ready to follow me, Adeleke says. The story reads, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke is on his way out of the People's Democratic Party PDP, and this is official. Adeleke confirmed yesterday that he was already consulting his plan of dumping the party. He did not say where he might be pitching his next stint to. However, his music star nephew Davido appears to have provided the clue in his latest song, From Umbrella to Broom. Umbrella is the PDP symbol, while broom is that of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC. New broom go sweep better, sings Davido in his latest release. The governor's spokesman Olawale Rasheed said in a statement in Osogbo that Adeleke met his defection plan with the PDP leadership caucus, which comprises the deputy governor, cabinet members, special advisors, federal and state lawmakers, amongst others, at the government house yesterday. According to Rashid, the PDP caucus passed a vote of confidence in Adeleke during the meeting and vowed to follow him to whichever party he desired to move to. Osun PDP leadership caucus has passed a vote of confidence in Governor Ademola Adeleke unanimously, supporting any decision the governor takes on the growing rumor of defection to another political party, he said. Continuing, the spokesman said, the leaders who praised the governor's leadership and performance in the office mandated him to continue consultations with all stakeholders locally and internationally. After briefing from the governor Ademola Adeleke and an exhaustive deliberations by leaders, the meeting issued a communique to signal its direction on the issue at the moment. The news is well detailed on the Nation newspaper this morning. Says, defection, I'm still consulting. Osun PDP ready to follow me, says Adeleke. We've been having the rumors lately that Governor Ademola Adeleke is going to defect to the APC or not. Even last week, we brought it to you last week on this same newspaper headlines that it debunks the news that it is not a rumor, he is actually defecting. And now we are having a new news. We are having a new update on it that, yeah, he is actually going to defect, but he has not just pitched or announced where his next tent is going to be. But definitely, once that comes out, we'll definitely bring it to your hearings here on newspaper headlines. Now, moving on to the next story and still on the Nation newspaper. Lagos local government poll. APC eyes clean sweep amid low turnout. The All Progressive Congress APC in Lagos State expects to win all chairmanship and councillorship seats in the yesterday's local government election in the state, according to the spokesman of the party, Mr. Sheye Oladejo. Oladejo explained the confidence while speaking with newsmen in Agege. He said the expected victory was based on the party's performance at the various levels of government. His view was shared by a member of the Governor's Advisory Council GAC, Otumba Henry Ajomale, who said APC hold on Lagos remain unshaken. We are going to win. There is no doubt about that. He said after casting his vote at the polling unit 13, Alidada of Ago Palace Way, Isolo. Early returns from different parts of the state showed that the party was coasting to victory. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in an open letter to Lagosians last night, extended appreciations to those who came out to perform their civil rights and duty in the local government elections. He particularly commended the youth, elders, market women, artisans, professionals, and all stakeholders who exercised their right to vote with dignity and orderliness. He added, you should have shown that democracy will continue to shape leadership when the people actively participate in elections. In other words, you reaffirm that we are truly the center of excellence. However, the election recorded a low turnout of voters. The news is well detailed also on the Nation newspaper this morning. Says Lagos local government polls, APC eyes clean sweep amid low turnout. Now to the next story I'll be picking on the Nation newspaper this morning. Police foils bandit attack and kills one in Benue State. The police command in Benue State said it repelled a group of armed bandits responsible for criminal activities in the Sakira axis of the state. The command spokesman DSP Udeme Edet disclosed this in a statement on Saturday in Makurdi. He said that the incident took place on Friday afternoon along the Zaki Biam Road. Edet said the command received the credible intelligence about bandits robbing villages in the Zaki Bayam Road, Ukum local government, and immediately swung into action. According to her, the officers foiled the attack and killed one of the bandits and recovered an AK-47 rifle from the neutralized bandit. The police immediately swung into action and deployed patrol and tactical teams which ambushed the bandits. The fierce gunfire exchange ensued, resulting into one bandit, Awase Akunkuyo, alias Abi Doka, being fatally wounded. An AK-47 rifle with live ammunition was recovered from him. Edet said the Commissioner of Police in Benue has commended the officers involved in the operation for their bravery and swift response. She said that the command remained committed to ensuring the safety and security lives and properties of the Benue citizen. Well, we need to commend our security agencies and security personnel at this point because, yeah, they're actually doing a good job at attacking and arresting bandits and terrorists in the state. But yes, as we're commending them, we also implore them to do more of it because we still have this news of insecurity constant every day in our daily news. And then the last news I'll be picking this morning on the Nation newspaper is Yobe PDP passes confidence vote in Damagum NWC. The People's Democratic Party PDP Yobe chapter has declared its loyalty to its acting national chairman Halaji Ilya Damagum and the National Working Committee NWC of the party. This is contained in a communique issued by the state's PDP chairman Senator Umar El Gash at the end of the party's expanded executive committee meeting held in Damaturu on Saturday. He said the chapter fully aligned with the vision, policies and strategic directions of the party and remained a committed partner in the collective efforts to rescue and rebuild Nigeria. It refuted claims that the chapter's structures had collapsed into the African Democratic Congress ADC. The party remains intact, focused, and loyal to its identity as a proud and enduring pillar of Nigeria's democratic processes. Any such speculation is the handiwork of the political mischief makers aimed at sowing confusion and disunity within our ranks, he said. He charged members to show unity from the wards to the national level by promoting peace, inclusion, and collaboration. He cautioned members of the party against indiscipline, saying discipline remained the bedrock of any organized political structure. The State Executive Committee, in consultation with local government chairmen, resolved to uphold party rules and discourage acts of indiscipline, anti-party behavior, and disloyalty. Mechanism will be strengthened to ensure compliance with the party's constitution and code of conduct, he said. So the news is also well detailed on the Nation newspaper this morning. It says Yobe PDP passes confidence vote in Damagum NWC. And that is all I'll be picking from the Nation newspaper this morning. So we'll go on a short break now, and then when we come back, we'll continue, and I'll continue to bring you the news still making the waves in our national dailies to your hearings. Don't go anywhere. Stay with me. I will be right back.
Life no get duplicate.
Na so ẹ̀mí ò láàárọ̀ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o. Make you take am easy.
Na so o.
Radio Afinju says if you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Make you take am easy.
Na so o.
This awareness is brought to you by Radio Afinju.
Idan kana neman labarin da ya cika, maganar
siyasa.
Akwai lokacin da sai kawo telecommunication.
Wakokin zamani na kasa da na kasan waje. Al'ada. Idan kana so ka tsaya ko ka tsaya, duka zaka samu a Radio Afinju. Kwarai da gaske, Radio Afinju ne shugaban radio a nan Osogbo, Osun State. Radio Afinju in tsarin yana da labari mai inganci da kyau. Radio Afinju, an impeccable dimension to broadcasting.
Our help is in the name of the Lord. Our help is in the name of the Lord. For the Lord our God is mighty.
I will praise you in the sanctuary.
Your Sunday experience just got better with elevating gospel gems and gist that will put you in the right atmosphere.
Them say the blessing where you do, Ojo. Them say salvation where you do, Ojo.
We are victorious. We are victorious.
Searching for where to get news about your favorite gospel icon or know what's trending in a Christendom? Gospel and Vibes is your every Sunday tonic, packed with two amazing segments. The Ultimate Sunday Blessings, where you listen to beautiful gospel gems guaranteed to get you praising the Almighty. You also get to listen to the latest gospel and church gist, keeping you updated about what's trending in the gospel scene. Listen to the scripture through God's servants with inspiring messages to uplift and empower you. Join Bukola Karim, The Books, and Tolulope Awoyale, Tiana, every Sunday from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. for Gospel and Vibes for an unforgettable experience that will leave you feeling uplifted, inspired, and connected to your faith. So get ready to elevate your spirit and ignite your soul.
Authentic God.
From the creation story in Genesis to the promises of Revelation, the Bible is filled with stories that have inspired moments and transformed lives in so many ways. Discover how these ancient accounts still speak to us in this modern world. Let's explore the Bible together and uncover the treasures within.
So join me, Pearl Durotoye, as I delve into the rich tapestry of Bible stories
Every Sunday,
5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Radio Afinju. God is love.
Idan kana neman labarin da ya cika, maganan siyasa,
Akwai lokacin da sai kawo telecommunication.
wakokin zamani na kasa da na kasan waje. Al'ada. Idan kana so ka tsaya ko ka tsaya, duka zaka samu a Radio Afinju. Kwarai da gaske, Radio Afinju ne shugaban radio a nan Osogbo, Osun State. Radio Afinju in tsarin yana da labari mai inganci da kyau. Radio Afinju, an impeccable dimension to broadcasting.
Life no get duplicate.
Na so, ẹ̀mí ò láàárọ̀ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o. Make you take am easy.
Na so o.
Radio Afinju says if you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Make you take am easy.
Na so o.
This awareness is brought to you by Radio Afinju.
You're welcome back. This is still newspaper headlines on Radio Afiju. Yeah, and I'm still bringing you the news making the waves in our national dailies to your hearings. And I'm moving on to this day newspaper. And this the first story I'm picking on this day says federal government secures 44 fresh convictions on terrorism financing. And the story reads, Nigeria has secured convictions of 44 out of 54 individuals who were recently arraigned in the phase 7 of the Carnegie Detention Facility terrorism trial, according to the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Office of the National Security Advisor, and this is just the Chief of Defense Staff CDS, General Christopher Musa, has insisted that hunger and poverty were the major drivers of insecurity in Nigeria, stressing that vulnerable populations were more easily recruited into insurgent groups. He also stated that the non-kinetic warfare produces more sustainable outcomes in the fight against insecurity. The Chief of Air Staff CAS Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, however, disclosed that no fewer than 5,650 terrorists were killed by the airstrikes of the air component of Operations Adinkai and Fasanyama in the northeast and northwest operational theaters in 2 years. According to a statement issued in Abuja by the head of Strategic Communication, National Counter-Terrorism Office of the National Security Advisor, Michael Abu, the Nigerian government has secured convictions of 44 out of 55 individuals of the Carnegie Detention Facility terrorism trial. Abu said the remaining 10 cases were adjourned until proceedings held across 4 courts presided over by 4 federal high court justices. He said the country is armed with the recent 44 conviction secured a total of 785 cases involving terrorism financing and other terrorism related offenses. That is on this day newspaper this morning. He says federal government secures 44 fresh convictions on terrorism financing. Next one on this day newspaper that I'll be picking this morning, it says flood warning and lessons from Texas. Last Monday, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET gave a scary forecast of rainfall that could have caused massive flooding in 20 of the 36 states in the country. The flooding will be severe, according to NIMET, and it suggested that people living in flood-prone areas or close to river-low areas should relocate to high ground. Considering the recent flood tragedy in United States, Texas, Nigerians must try and avoid to the impending danger envisaged by NIMET. A flash flood warning was issued by 3 hours before the peak of the flooding, but many people were not prepared to the deluge of 7-month worth of rain in less than 2 hours. As of yesterday, no fewer than 121 people were confirmed dead, but the number of fatalities continue to rise, along with an active search of about more than 160 people who are still missing. Nobody can believe it in that much water can rain that fast. Back home by warning NIMET is timely, but question remains as to whether responsible for the mitigation and adaptation activities have had plans and actionable ahead of the expected flood. There is therefore right time for authorities to intervene, according to the executive director of the Health of Mother Health Foundation, Nimino Basi. Floods threaten life, infrastructure, and livelihood. This is the time for investment and planting of communities and towns in flood-prone areas, she said. They require emergency shelters and climate-proof housing, the need for drainage planning of our cities, and provision of adequate drainage system cannot be overemphasized. That is on this day newspaper this morning, says flood warnings and lessons from Texas. Because we've actually had recent and back-to-back rain, so we should at least try not to clog the drainage that water would at least flow through, and we should not clog them with dirt or garbage, so that water can easily access their ways, and instead of it clogging and then causing flood and all of that in our environment. So we should actually take note of that. And also on this day newspaper this morning, new electricity law yet to spark change. Concerns are mounting over the failure of some governments to seize the opportunity to develop independent power system following the decentralization of electricity through the new Electricity Act of 2023. Nigerians are worried that despite the constitutional amendment that empowers states to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity within their jurisdiction, the nation's economy continues to stagger under the crippling weight of inadequate power supply. Under the current dispensation, large and small businesses are suffocating in darkness, forced to rely on costly and unreliable alternatives like diesels, generators, which eat deep into profit margin and stifle growth. The promise of decentralization remains largely unfulfilled as bureaucratic tenure, lack of investment, and poor regulatory coordination frustrate meaningful progress. This energy dysfunction undermines productivity and industrial expansion and also reinforces Nigeria's image as economic stock in reverse gear, rich in potential yet persistently underpowered. The news is detailed on this day newspaper this morning. It says new electricity law yet to spark change. Now moving on to the last newspaper I'll be picking this morning, which is the Nigeria Tribune, and the first story I'm picking here says how Tinubu government is spending Nigeria's revenue presidency. The presidency has revealed how the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led federal government is utilizing Nigeria's revenue for various projects across the country, describing it as renewed hope strategic spending. The special advisor on media and communication to the president, Sunday Dare, gave a breakdown of the spending in a post via his personal X account on Saturday, saying the country's revenue under Tinubu is being put to good use in several areas of benefit of the Nigeria. The presidency explanation on Nigeria's revenue following growing public interest in the president's economic reforms and concerns from the opposition leaders of Nigeria on profiled under the current administration. According to Dare, a central highlight of Tinubu's government spending strategy is the presidential loan and grant scheme, which targets over 900,000 small-scale enterprises and including nano businesses and manufacturers. He said this initiative is designed to unlock productivity in the economic and Nigerians most operate and to also significantly reduce unemployment, saying it was supporting these enterprises according to the presidency. And another area receiving major attention is transport and road infrastructure, where Tinubu is funding over 440 ongoing projects across the country, including over 2,700 kilometers of super highways and spanning coastal and inland regions designed to improve trade, logistics, and national connectivity. The news is well detailed on the Tribune this morning. It says how Tinubu government is spending Nigeria's revenue. Going back to this day newspaper, I just got this update. It says Warri refinery can be fixed locally. The news was brought earlier that both the Warri and Port Harcourt refineries are being sold, but here is another update that says Warri refinery can be repaired locally. As Nigeria continues to grapple with the challenges of fuel importation and impact on the economy, it is baffling that the nation's refinery remain dormant despite decades of promise and billions of naira spent on the turnaround maintenance on one such national asset is the Warri refinery, and a once thriving industrial powerhouse located in the heart of Delta State. The continued outsourcing of refinery rehabilitation to foreign companies is only a wasteful practice, but also a vote of no confidence in Nigerian engineers and companies. I challenge the federal government and Warri refinery can be revived. Competent engineering companies right here in Warri. I say this not as a sentiment, but as a fact rooted in some of the most seasoned engineers and in the entire West African region. These professionals have served with distinction in multinationals like Shell, Chevron, and Nigerian Petroleum Development Company (NPDC). They are familiar with retrain and the technology, and more importantly, culture of the refinery itself. Why do we then constantly overlook the homegrown professionals in favor of foreign companies? And also, our local context now offer long-term value beyond expensive consultancy fees. Let's be clear, this isn't just about national pride. It's about economic sense, local content and development, and also national security. Engaging Nigerian firms is to fix our refinery, saves the country millions in foreign exchange, and empowers our local economy and creates jobs for unemployed youth and builds technical self-reliance. The news is well detailed on this day newspaper this morning. It says Warri refinery can be fixed locally. Well, I'm moving on, and this will be the last story I'll be picking this morning from the Nigeria Tribune newspaper this morning. It says produce constitution of hope and injustice, Governor Nnamdi urges lawmakers. The story reads, Governor Umar Nnamdi of Jigawa State has tasked parliamentarians and other citizens with the need to produce a constitution that will stand as a beacon of hope, equity, and justice for generations yet to be born. Governor Nnamdi, who gave the charge during the zonal public hearing on the review of 1999 Constitution held in Kaduna State, maintained the ongoing constitutional review provides an opportunity for Nigerians to inscribe their names in the chronicles of progress, justice, and national unity. Represented by the Speaker of the Jigawa State House of Assembly, Honorable Haruna Duse, he described the zonal public hearing exercise as a shining example of democratic engagement, reflecting the collective resolve to deepen the foundations of good governance and nation building in Nigeria. While noting that the constitution of a nation is merely a legal document, it stated it is the soul of the country. It embodies our shared aspirations, defines our national identity, and sets framework for justice, equity, and patience. A constitution must therefore remain a living document, responsive to the changing realities and dreams and legitimate expectations of the people it serves. This zonal public hearing is indeed historic because it gives Nigerians the opportunity to speak directly to the process of shaping the supreme law of the land, and it underscores the fundamental truth and sovereignty belongs to the people, and no constitution can endure it unless it carries the consent and confidence of those it governs. That is also well detailed on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Says, produce constitution of hope and justice, Governor Nnamdi urges lawmakers. And that is the news and stories I'll be bringing to your hearings this morning. Thank you very much for joining me this morning on this newspaper headline. Make sure you join me again next week Sunday for newspaper headlines here on Radio Afinju. Till I come your way again, my name remains Tolulope Awoyale, and do not forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, all at Radio Afinju. Also on Zeno Radio, we're there. You can download it on your Play Store or Apple Store at Radio Afinju. On our website also, www.afinjufm.com. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for joining. Stay blessed, stay humble, stay wonderful, stay present, stay energized, and stay out of trouble. Have a wonderful day.